Fuck. I thought that at 42 I wouldn't be lying around at night thinking about why my life is like fucking Groundhog Day. My name is Alexei, and I am a trainer at Atlanta Fitness Club here in Chicago. Honestly, bro, for the last couple of years, I have felt like a robot. Get up, go to work, train some clients who spend half their time on their phones, smile at all those housewives who think I am their personal stripper, and go home, day after day, week after week. And so today, March 20th, I'm standing in this empty locker room at 10:30 in the evening, and I understand I'm going crazy from this loneliness. Not because there are no women around, hell no, but because no one, bitch, sees the real me. Everyone sees only these muscles, this smile, this image of a successful trainer, and inside I'm like an empty fucking tin can. You know what the worst thing is? When you're a handsome guy, and I'm not being modest, I'm handsome. 185, broad shoulders, six-pack abs, sinewy arms from constant training. Everyone thinks that everything is okay with you, that you can't be alone, that you have a ton of connections, adventures, that life is in full swing. Complete bullshit. I run a hand through my dark hair, look in the mirror at the stubble that makes me look like some kind of lumberjack, and think, when was the last time someone looked at me as something other than an object? When was the last time someone was interested not in my training, but in my thoughts? When was the last time I felt alive and not a fucking mannequin? Clients come, tell me about their problems, and I nod, smile, motivate. Come on, another approach. You can do it. You're doing a great job. And inside I scream, who's motivating me? Who's going to ask how I'm doing? At home I have a studio apartment on the north side. Beautiful, by the way, with panoramic windows overlooking the city. But when you go there in the evening, turn on the light, and this silence covers you like a fucking blanket. The refrigerator hums, cars drive past the window, and you sit on the couch with a beer and understand that your life is passing you by. I tried dating apps, Grindr, Tinder, all that stuff, but it's all superficial. Guys come, see my athletic body, think I've hit the jackpot. But when they realize I'm not just a piece of meat, but a person with my own quirks and needs, they quickly leave. They want fantasy, not a real man with real problems. And so I stand in this locker room, tie a towel around my waist, and think, maybe the sauna will help me relax. Usually by this time, there is no one there. You can sit in silence, take a steam bath, maybe something in your head will clear up. I walk down the corridor, my sneakers squeak on the linoleum. The club is almost empty. Only the security guard, Bob, is sitting at the reception reading some magazine. He nods to me. We've known each other for about 3 years. A normal old school dude. I open the door to the sauna and am immediately enveloped in this hot, dense air. The smell of cedar, a little sweat, but not disgusting, but somehow masculine, natural. I sit down on the middle shelf, lean against the warm wood and close my eyes. Silence. Just my breathing and a quiet crackling somewhere in the corner. That's what I need. No talking, no smiling, no pretending. Just me and this heat that slowly penetrates my muscles, makes me relax. But even here, in this silence, thoughts haunt me. What am I doing with my life? I'm 42, I'm a successful trainer, I earn well, I look good, but am I happy? Fucking no. I'm like an actor who plays himself, but has forgotten who he really is. Maybe I'm too demanding? Maybe I'm looking for something that doesn't exist. But fuck, I can't settle for random hookups and superficial conversations for the rest of my life, can I? I want to find my tribe, you know? People with whom I can be myself, where I don't have to play the role of a strong, independent guy. Sweat starts to trickle down my back, and I feel the tension slowly leaving my shoulders. Maybe this is my therapy, these evening sessions in the sauna, when I can simply exist without masks and expectations. Suddenly I hear a sound. The sauna door creaked quietly. I open my eyes, turn my head. Someone is coming in. At this time, usually after 10, it's dead empty here. And then I realize, maybe today something will change. Maybe the universe finally decided to send me something. Or maybe it's just another random dude who also can't sleep. But something inside, some strange premonition tells me, this evening will be different. Completely different. The door slowly opens and I wait to see who will enter my quiet sanctuary. Fuck, you won't believe what happened next. Not one person enters the sauna, but a whole fucking company. 5 guys, all different, but all with some special energy. I immediately tensed up. I thought my peaceful silence had gone down the drain, but they entered somehow respectfully, without unnecessary noise. The first one I noticed was a tall guy with broad shoulders. Dmitri, as I later found out. He had such a confident gait, as if he owned the place. Dark hair, barely noticeable gray at the temples, eyes the color of steel. When he sat down opposite me, I felt some strange electricity in the air. Victor came in after him, a tall, calm guy with a philosophical outlook. People like that usually read a lot and talk little, but when they do, it's to the point. Then Sergey, a dark guy with dreadlocks, who always had some kind of mischief playing in his eyes. Igor was fourth, an observant, sharp look, as if he was analyzing everything around him. And lastly, Andrei, the quietest of them all, but there was some kind of warm strength in his silence. "Well, hello," says Dmitri, his voice low and pleasant. "We weren't expecting company today." I nodded, trying to be polite. "I didn't mean to interrupt." "You're not in the way," laughed Sergey. "You're just brave. Not everyone would climb into such heat when it's already a full house." To be honest, I was surprised how naturally they started talking to me. Usually in such situations, people either ignore each other or make small talk about the weather. But these guys immediately created some kind of atmosphere of openness. "You're Alexei, right?" Dmitri asked, and I was shocked. "I saw you here. You're a trainer who works in the mornings." "Guilty," I replied, surprised that they had noticed me. "How do you know?" "Oh, we know," smiled Sergey with his playful grin. "You keep your head down, but you move like a boss. Hard not to notice." It was weird, but nice. I'm used to being part of the scenery, and here it turns out that someone is actually paying attention. And not in that creepy way, but somehow appreciatively. Victor leaned forward. "Do you come here to think or to forget?" The question was simple, but something about the way he asked it made me think. This wasn't your average small talk bullshit. "Maybe both," I admitted. "Good place for that." Dmitri nodded, not pushing further. "Yeah, great place." And then one of the most interesting conversations of my life began. They asked where I was from, how long I had been working at the club, but no one postured, no one showed off. It was just seeing each other, you know? "Do you ever feel," I asked at one point, I don't know why, "that you are surrounded by people, but at the same time nowhere near them?" Silence for a second. Then Victor, who had been mostly listening, said, "Every fucking day, until I stopped pretending I like doing this alone." Igor nodded. "We've all been through this." "You're not alone here, Alexei," Dmitri said, and something in his tone made me believe these words. I sat there, sweat running down my back, and for the first time in a long time, I felt seen. Not as a trainer, not as a pretty face, but as a human being with my own struggles and needs. Sergey suddenly stood up. "You know what, man? We have a place where we can continue this conversation properly. Interested?" I looked at them all. There was something magnetic about their energy. Not necessarily sexual, but definitely compelling, as if they knew something I didn't. "What kind of place?" I asked. Dmitri smiled, and there was something mysterious in that smile. Members-only section. Real members. People who need space. People who need each other. Andrei finally spoke, his voice quiet but warm. "It's not advertised. Just a place where you can be yourself." Honestly, part of me said, "Be careful. You don't know these people." But the bigger part was curious as fuck. When was the last time something unexpected happened in my routine life? "Fuck it," I said. "Show me." We left the sauna. They showed me to follow them through a narrow hallway which I had never noticed before. Dmitri approached an inconspicuous door, entered some code on the keypad. "How long has this been here?" I asked. "Years," Igor replied. "Owner understands that some people need special space." The door opened, and I was shocked by what I saw. It was a completely different atmosphere from the main club. Dim amber lights, deep leather chairs, plush rugs on the floor, smell of sandalwood in the air, old-school jazz playing quietly in the corner, records spinning on a vintage player. It looked like a gentleman's club from some old movies. "Holy shit," I blurted out. "Yeah," laughed Sergey. "Impressive, right?" I walked inside, feeling like the world behind that door was muffled, as if we had entered a completely different universe, where time moves slower and conversations matter more. Dmitri closed the door behind us with a gentle click. "Welcome to the real club, Alexei." Andrei poured water into glasses and handed me one. "Sit wherever comfortable." I chose a deep armchair, still in the towel, but somehow it didn't feel weird. The atmosphere was too relaxed for awkwardness. "Tell us," said Dmitri, sitting down opposite. "What's really been on your mind? And you know what? I told you. About loneliness. About feeling like a robot. about wanting a connection but not knowing how to find it, about dating apps bullshit and surface-level conversations. Sergey nodded. Loneliness dresses like discipline sometimes. It hit me like fucking lightning. Exactly what I felt, but could never put into words. Victor shared his story about trying to be someone else for years, fitting in everywhere except his own skin. Sergey told about going out every weekend, packed calendar, but nobody really knew him when the music stopped. "And you?" I asked Dmitry. His jaw tightened slightly. I tried to be someone the world would accept, kept my voice down, smiled just enough, fit in everywhere except, he looked at me, my own life. The silence that followed wasn't awkward, it was full, dense with understanding. But then, Dmitry continued, I met these brothers, and something in the way he said it, in the way they all looked at each other, made me realize this wasn't a random group. This was family, chosen family. Slowly, carefully, Dmitry stood up and crossed the room. He didn't reach for me. He just sat down beside me on the armrest chair, close enough that our shoulders brushed. "You don't have to carry it alone anymore," he said, voice low. I turned, met his gaze. The tension in the air wasn't about seduction. It was about seeing, about two men who wore armor too long, recognizing the softness they both hid. "I don't just want connection," I whispered. "I want to belong somewhere." Dmitry's hand found mine. Not grabbing, not pulling, just presence. Fingers curling gently around my knuckles. "You already do," he said. And at that moment, this room didn't feel like a lounge or a secret suite. It felt like home. The others sat around us, their presence gentle but not oppressive, just people breathing, connecting. And for the first time in years, I felt exactly where I should be. The night was only beginning. We were sitting in this incredible room. The amber lights created such an intimate atmosphere that it seemed like time had stopped. Jazz was playing quietly. The sandalwood smell was enveloping me like a warm blanket. And for the first time in years, I felt safe. Yes, safe to be real. Dmitry was still sitting next to me, his hand on mine. And that simple touch was more meaningful than all the hookups of the last few years combined. The others were located around us. Victor in a deep leather chair opposite, Sergey on a low ottoman, Igor and Andrei on a plush rug near the record player. "You know, Alexei," Victor began, his voice thoughtful and measured, "we all got scars. We wear them like they're part of who we are, like they define us. But the truth is, we are more than what hurts us." I turned to him, intrigued. "What do you mean?" Victor leaned forward, his eyes intense but kind. "I used to think that everything I went through made me unworthy of love. Growing up, I wasn't enough, wasn't straight enough, wasn't masculine enough, wasn't this or that enough. So I hid, shut parts of myself off, thinking I could never be loved for who I truly was." His words hit me like a fucking truck. That was exactly what I felt but never could articulate. "I thought," Victor continued, "I had to be strong all the time, until I realized strength isn't in hiding. It's in letting yourself be seen." Silence filled room at the moment, thick with understanding. Then Sergey spoke up, his usual playful energy replaced with something deeper. "I spent most of my life trying to be the man everyone thought I should be," he said, voice quiet but weighted. "The tough guy, the one who never let anyone in. I kept pushing people away, not realizing how much I needed them until I had no one left. I listened, feeling something inside me cracking open. These men weren't just sharing stories, they were giving me permission to be vulnerable. And I," added Igor, usually so observant and quiet, "I always watched from the sidelines, analyzed everyone else's relationships, their connections, their happiness, but never thought I deserved that myself. Always felt like outsider looking in." Andrei nodded slowly. "We're all experts at being version of ourselves for everyone else's comfort. But tonight, about you being seen, Alexei. Not as a trainer, not as some guy with a body and a smile, but as who you really are. I think we all needed that too." The weight of their words settled deeper into my chest, and for the first time, I felt a layer of tension slip away. It wasn't just physical anymore, it was emotional. These men weren't just acknowledging my body, they were acknowledging parts of me I'd buried long ago. Dmitry's thumb traced gentle circle on the back of my hand. "Alexei, you don't know this, but I've been watching you for months." My heart skipped beat. "What?" "Not obsessively," he added with a slight smirk, "but I've noticed you. The way you move, the way you hold yourself, like you're always carrying something heavier than you're willing to show. I've seen it before, that quiet loneliness. I blinked, surprised, and a little shocked. "You've been watching me? Why?" Dmitri shrugged, his hand still resting on my arm. "Because I could feel it, the weight you were carrying, and I knew it was only a matter of time before you'd reach point where you'd be ready to let someone help you carry it." He paused, looking directly into my eyes. "Tonight wasn't random, Alexei. We invited you here because we saw something in you, not just in your body, but in your soul. You need healing, and we wanted to be the ones to give it to you." His words hit me like fucking tsunami. My mind raced with the realization that all of this night, this connection, this tenderness, wasn't just a spontaneous thing. It was intentional. It was because they'd seen something in me that I hadn't fully understood myself. Warm feeling rose in my chest, but it wasn't heat of desire anymore. It was warmth of something deeper, something more fragile. Vulnerability. I didn't know," I muttered, voice thick with emotion. "I didn't know I needed this. But now you do," said Andre softly, rubbing my back gently. "And that's enough. We're here, all of us, for you." The atmosphere in the room shifted then. Space between us now filled with unspoken bond of shared experience, of unguarded connection. It was no longer about proving anything or searching for anything. It was about being present, about healing, about finding each other in this vast, lonely world. Sergei moved closer, his usual mischievous smile replaced with something tender. "You know what's funny? Each of us came here tonight feeling isolated in our own way. But look at us now." Victor chuckled softly. "Funny how the universe works. Brings people together when they need it most." "It's not universe," said Dmitri, his voice certain. "It's recognition. Soul recognizing soul." I felt tears building in the corners of my eyes, but for the first time in years, they weren't tears of frustration or loneliness. They were tears of relief, of finally being seen, of finding my tribe. "I've been so fucking tired," I admitted, voice cracking slightly. "Tired of pretending, tired of being strong all the time, tired of going home to empty apartment and wondering what point of it all is." "You don't have to pretend here," said Igor. "None of us do." Andre stood up, moved to the small bar area in the corner. "Let's toast," he said, pouring glasses of what looked like expensive whiskey. "To finding each other, to brotherhood, to healing." We all took glasses and Dmitri raised his. "To Alexei, for having the courage to be vulnerable, and to all of us, for creating space where that's possible." "Cheers," we all said, clinking glasses. Whiskey burned going down, but it was good burn. Warm burn that settled in the chest and made everything feel more real. As evening progressed, conversation flowed like river. We talked about everything. Childhood traumas, failed relationships, dreams we'd given up on, hopes we still carried. Each story shared made bonds between us stronger, more intimate. I learned that Victor was a philosophy professor at Northwestern, struggling with coming out later in life. Sergei owned small art gallery in River North, using creativity as a way to process his emotions. Igor worked in tech, but spent evenings writing poetry he never showed anyone. Andre was a massage therapist who healed others' bodies while neglecting his own emotional needs. And Dmitri was an architect who designed beautiful spaces for others while living in sparse, cold apartment himself until he met these men, until they became his family. "Family isn't always blood," he said, looking around at all of us. "Sometimes it's choice. Sometimes it's recognition. Sometimes it's about finding people who see your darkness and don't run away." The lights dimmed even further as night deepened. Jazz record changed to something more soulful, more intimate. Energy in room shifted again, becoming more charged, more electric. I could feel something building between all of us. Not just desire, but connection on level I'd never experienced. It was spiritual almost, this recognition of shared need, shared longing, shared humanity. Dimitri's hand moved to my shoulder, and I leaned into his touch. Around us, others moved closer too, creating a circle of warmth and acceptance. "Is this okay?" Dmitri whispered, his voice barely audible over soft music. I looked around at these men who had welcomed me, who had seen me, who had offered themselves without judgment or expectation. For the first time in years, I felt like I belonged somewhere. "More than okay," I whispered back. What happened next was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. It wasn't just physical, though there was definitely physical connection. It was emotional, spiritual, healing in the way that went beyond simple pleasure. In short, I won't drag it out. We slept together. Afterward, We lay there in comfortable silence, bodies intertwined on soft rugs, breathing gradually returning to normal. Amber lights cast warm glow over skin still glistening with sweat, and jazz continued its gentle rhythm. I felt transformed, like some fundamental part of me had shifted, realigned. The loneliness that had been my constant companion for years was gone, replaced with the sense of belonging I'd never experienced. "Thank you," I whispered to the room in general, voice hoarse with emotion. "Thank you," Dmitri replied, pressing a gentle kiss to my temple. As we dressed slowly, exchanging gentle touches and quiet words, I realized this wasn't ending. This was beginning. I had found my family, my home, my place in the world. My phone buzzed as we prepared to leave. Text from Dmitri, even though he was standing right next to me. "You're welcome anytime. You belong with us." Reading those words, something final clicked into place inside me. I wasn't alone anymore. I would never be again. After that incredible night, my life changed dramatically. I no longer felt like a lonely robot, going through motions every day. I had a family, a real family, a chosen family, people who truly saw me. Every night after work, I now knew where I belonged. That secret room in the club became our sanctuary, a place where we could be absolutely ourselves without masks, without pretending, without bullshit social expectations. Victor turned out to be an incredible storyteller. Evenings when we gathered, he talked about his students at Northwestern, about philosophy theories that actually made sense in relation to real life. His calm wisdom helped me understand patterns in my thinking, why I kept the walls up for so long. "Loneliness," he said one evening, sitting in his favorite leather chair with a glass of wine, "isn't absence of people. It's absence of connection. You can be surrounded by hundreds and still feel isolated if nobody sees real you." Sergei brought energy to every gathering. His laugh was infectious, and his stories from the world's art galleries were hilarious. But behind that playful exterior was a man who understood the pain of not being accepted for who you are. "I spent years," he said, "creating beautiful spaces for other people's art. But my own apartment looked like a fucking prison cell. Didn't think I deserved beauty in my own life." Igor, our quiet observer, turned out to be the most insightful about human nature. He could read people's emotions like books, understanding what they needed even when they themselves didn't know. "You're different now, Alexei," he told me after a couple of weeks. "More relaxed, like you finally gave yourself permission to breathe." And Andre was our healer. Literally, his massage therapy skills were incredible, but more than that, he had a gift for making people feel cared for. Simple gestures, bringing favorite coffee, remembering small details about our lives, offering shoulder to lean on when needed. But it was with Dmitri that something special developed. Sure, we had an amazing group connection, a brotherhood that sustained all of us. But between Dmitri and me, there was something additional, something deeper, more intimate, more romantic. He started inviting me for walks in Lincoln Park after our group sessions. Long, slow walks where we talked about everything. Our childhood dreams, our fears about getting older, plans for the future we'd never shared with anyone else. "I never thought," he told me one evening as we walked along the lake shore, Chicago skyline twinkling in the distance, "I'd find someone who understood the need for both independence and connection. Most people want one or the other." His hand brushed mine as we walked, and that simple touch sent electricity through my whole body. Not just sexual electricity, emotional electricity, recognition of something real developing between us. "I know what you mean," I replied. "I always felt like I had to choose, either be completely self-sufficient or completely dependent. Never realized there was middle ground." We started having dinner dates, just two of us, intimate conversations over pasta in small Italian place on North Side. Dmitri told me about his architecture work, how he designed spaces that brought people together but had been living in isolation himself until he met our group. "Ironic, right?" He laughed. "I create homes for other people but didn't know how to make one for myself. And now?" I asked. He looked directly into my eyes, intensity that made my heart skip beats. "Now I think I'm learning." The sexual tension between us was obvious, but we both wanted to build something more substantial than just physical attraction. After that first night in the room, we had agreed to take things slow, explore emotional connection first. But fuck, it was hard sometimes. Way he looked at me during group discussions, how his hand lingered when he passed me drink, how he found excuses to touch my arm or shoulder during conversations. I was falling for him hard, and I could see the same thing happening in his eyes. Our group sessions became deeper, more therapeutic. We'd spend hours talking about our past relationships, why they failed, what we were looking for in the future. Each conversation brought all of us closer, but especially me and Dmitry. "I think," said Victor one evening after a particularly intense discussion about trust issues, "healing happens in the community. Individual therapy is good, but there's something powerful about being witnessed by a group of people who understand your struggles." "Like group therapy," added Sergei, "but with better whiskey and more honest conversations." Igor nodded thoughtfully. "And without professional boundaries that sometimes prevent real intimacy." "What we have," said Andrei, looking around at all of us, "is rare. Most people never find this level of acceptance." Dmitry reached over, took my hand in his, especially Alexei. Watching him transform these past weeks, it's been incredible. His words made warmth spread through my chest. Being seen, being appreciated for growth and change, it was something I'd never experienced before. "I feel like," I began, trying to articulate feelings that were still forming, "like I've been sleepwalking for years, going through motions, but not really living. You guys, you woke me up." "You woke yourself up," corrected Dmitry gently. "We just provided safe space for what to happen." 3 weeks after our first meeting, Dmitry asked if I wanted to have a picnic in Millennium Park. It was early April, weather finally warming up, cherry blossoms starting to bloom. "Just the two of us?" I asked, heart racing. "Just us two," he confirmed, that smile that made my knees weak spreading across his face. We met Sunday afternoon. He brought a basket packed with gourmet sandwiches, expensive cheese, bottle of wine, found a perfect spot on grass, far enough from the crowds that we could talk privately. "This is nice," I said, stretching out on the blanket, feeling the sun warm on my face for the first time in months of anxiety, without gnawing at my stomach. "You're nice," Dmitry replied, and something in his tone made me open eyes, look at him. He was staring at me with expression I hadn't seen before. Not just desire, not just friendship, but something deeper, something that looked like love. "Alexei," he began, voice serious, "I need to tell you something." My heart started pounding. "What?" "These past weeks, getting to know you, watching you open up, spending time together, I've fallen in love with you." Time stopped. Literally stopped. Birds still singing, people still walking by, but for me, the entire world focused down to this moment. These words, this beautiful man telling me he loved me. "I know it might be complicated," he continued quickly, "with group dynamics and everything, but I couldn't keep pretending that what I feel for you is just friendship. It's not. It's so much more." I sat up, reached for his hand. "Dmitry, and I know," he continued, nervous energy making words tumble out faster, "that we agreed to take things slow, and I don't want to pressure you, but I needed you to know how I feel hiding because it was driving me crazy." "Dmitry," I repeated, stronger this time, making him stop rambling. "I love you too." His eyes widened. "Really? Really?" I confirmed, laughing at his surprise. "I've been falling for you since that first night, but I was scared to say anything. Scared of complicating group dynamics, scared of ruining what we have." Relief flooded his face. "So we're both idiots. Complete fucking idiots," I agreed. He leaned closer, cupped my face in his hands. "Can I kiss you? Like really kiss you? Not just friendly affection, but romantic kiss?" Instead of answering, I closed distance between us. Our lips met, and this time kiss was different from group experience. This was personal, intimate, full of emotion that had been building between us for weeks. When we finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, he rested forehead against mine. "I want to be with you," he whispered. "Not just physically, but emotionally. I want to build something real." "Yes," I answered without hesitation. "Yes, I want that too." What happened next was just a shock I had never experienced and didn't think I could pull off in public. Right there on a picnic blanket, in the midday sun, surrounded by the sounds of the city, but feeling like we were the only people in the world. As you understand, we did it right there. Afterwards, we lay together on the blanket. He held me, and we watched the clouds float by. I felt complete like never before, not only sexually satisfied, but emotionally fulfilled. "What about others?" I asked. "Group? They'll be happy for us," said Dmitry confidently. "This doesn't change our brotherhood. If anything, it makes it stronger. Love multiplies, doesn't divide." As evening approached and we packed up our picnic, I realized this was another turning point. Not just finding family, but finding partner. Person I wanted to build future P. Walking back to the parking lot, hands intertwined, I felt like the luckiest man in Chicago, maybe in the world. I love you, Dmitri, I said as we reached his car. I love you too, Alexei, he replied, pulling me close for another kiss. This is just beginning. I believed him. For the first time in years, I believed in the possibility of lasting happiness. If you think that this is another story with a happy ending, then I will disappoint you. Listen to what happened next. Another 2 weeks passed after our confession with Dmitri. The best 2 weeks of my life, to be honest. We spent time together every day. Breakfasts at his apartment, lunch dates in downtown, evenings with our group. I felt like I was in a fucking fairy tale. That Tuesday evening, I decided to surprise him. I bought his favorite wine, got a takeout from the Italian restaurant where we had our first real date, and went to his house early. I had a spare key. He had given it to me last week, which felt like a huge step in our relationship. I go up to his apartment on the 3rd floor. I can already imagine his surprised face. Maybe we will have a romantic evening, just the two of us. Heart racing from anticipation. I open the door and shout, "Honey, I'm home, got surprise for you." And then, my world fucking collapsed. In the living room sit 2 children, a girl of about 10 and a boy maybe 7. Beautiful kids with dark hair like Dmitri. And on the kitchen counter are school bags and lunch boxes with their names, Emma and Michael. But that's not all. A woman comes out of the bathroom, a gorgeous brunette in an expensive dress, clearly comfortable in this apartment. She stops dead when she sees me, eyes wide with shock. "Dima!" she shouts toward the bedroom. "Who is this?" Kids look at me with curiosity but without fear. Clearly, they are used to people coming and going from Daddy's place. Dmitri comes out of the bedroom, his hair still wet from the shower, in a robe. And when he sees me, the expression on his face tells me everything I need to know. Guilt. Pure fucking guilt. "Alexei," he says, voice shaky. "I can explain." "Explain what?" I ask, but my voice sounds distant even to myself. "Explain why there are kids here? Explain why there's a woman who clearly belongs here?" Woman. And now I realize she must be his wife. Steps forward protectively. "I'm Rebecca," she says, voice controlled but wary. "Dimitri's wife. And you are?" "Wife. Wife." The word hits me like fucking sledgehammer. I start, but I don't know how to finish. What am I? His boyfriend? His lover? His dirty secret? "Kids," says Dmitri quickly. "Go to your rooms. Daddy needs to talk with adults." "But we want to watch movie," whines little boy. "Now," says Dmitri, voice sharp enough that kids scramble away without argument. Rebecca crosses arms, waiting. I'm still standing in the doorway with wine and takeout, feeling like absolute fucking idiot. "Alexei," Dmitri begins, moving toward me. "Please let me explain." "Explain what?" explode I, all emotions hitting at once. "Explain how you forgot to mention you're married? How you forgot to mention you have children? How everything between us was built on fucking lie?" "It's not a lie," he protests. "What we have is real." "Rebecca," I say, turning to his wife, ignoring him completely. "Did you know about me?" She looks uncomfortable, glances at Dmitri. We have arrangement." "Arrangement?" I repeat. "What kind of arrangement?" Silence. Heavy, crushing silence. "Open marriage," Rebecca finally says. We both see other people, but there are rules." "Rules!" repeat I flatly. "And what are those rules?" "No emotional attachment," Dmitri says quietly. "Just physical." Another sledgehammer blow. "No emotional attachment," I repeat slowly. "So telling me you love me, what was that?" His face crumbles. "That was real. That was a mistake according to the rules. But it was real." "A mistake!" I scream. "Loving me was a mistake!" "No, that's not what I meant." "Did they know?" interrupt I. "Did Victor, Sergey, all of them? Did they know you're married?" His silence answers everything. They all knew, I understand. Everyone knew except me. I was the only one living in fantasy. "Alexei, please." "No!" I'm losing my temper. "Don't fucking touch me. Don't say my name. Don't pretend like any of this meant anything." I turn toward the door, but Rebecca's voice stops me. "He does love you," she says quietly. "I can see it. It's written all over his face every time he mentions you." "Then why didn't he tell me?" I ask, turning back. "Because," she sighs, "because our marriage is complicated. We love each other, but we're not in love anymore. Haven't been for years. We stay together for children, for stability, for convenience." "So I'm what, homewrecker?" I ask bitterly. "No," says Dmitri firmly. "You're not homewrecker. You're person I fell in love with against all rules." Rules you never told me about. Because I knew you wouldn't understand. I knew you'd run. You're fucking right, I would have run. Because I don't want to be someone's dirty secret. I don't want to be hidden part of your life. Tears running down my face now, and I hate myself for crying in front of them. I spent my whole life feeling invisible, I continue, voice breaking, feeling like I didn't matter. And you made me feel like I mattered, like I was worth something, like I belonged somewhere. But it was all fake. I was just side piece who got too attached. It wasn't fake, Dmitri insists. Tears in his eyes too. Everything I felt, everything we shared, none of that was fake. But it's not real either, I reply. Real means full life together. Real means future. Real means not hiding. What we have, it's just fantasy. Rebecca steps forward again. What if it could be real? Both Dmitri and I turn to her, shocked. What do you mean? Asks Dmitri. I mean, she says slowly, what if we stopped pretending? What if we got divorced for real, shared custody, and you could have an actual relationship with him? My heart stops. You'd do that? She looks at her husband, then at me. Dima, you haven't been happy in years. Not really. Not until him. She gestures towards me. I see how you light up when you talk about him. I see how you smile when you text him. You haven't looked at me like that in probably a decade. Rebecca, Dmitri begins. And you, she says, looking at me. You love him. Really love him. Not just a fantasy version, but actual him. Even finding out about us, about kids, you're not running. You're fighting. That means something. I wipe tears from face, trying to process what she's saying. Are you serious? I ask. Dead serious, she replies. Our marriage was over a long time ago. We just never had the courage to end it properly. Maybe this is a sign that it's time. Dmitri stars at her like he's never seen her before. Do you really mean this? I do, she says. But there would be conditions. Kids come first, always. You'd need to be part of their lives too. He looks at me. Could you handle that? Being a stepfather? Fuck. Kids. I never thought about kids. Never imagined myself as father figure. But looking at Dmitri, seeing hope creeping back into his eyes, I'd try, I say honestly. I'd really try. Dmitri crosses room, takes my hands. You'd really consider this? Real relationship, complete with all complications? I want real, tell him. I've always wanted real. Even if it's messy, even if it's complicated, I want real life with you. Not fantasy. He kisses me then, gentle kiss full of promise and possibility. So what now? I ask when we break apart. Now, says Rebecca. We figure out how to do this right. Lawyers, custody arrangements, telling kids, it won't be easy. Nothing worth having ever is, I reply. 6 months later, I'm sitting in the same park where we had our first real date. But now Emma and Michael are there too, playing on the playground while Dmitri and I watch from bench. Push me higher, Alexei, calls Emma. Coming, princess, I shout back, standing up. Funny how life works. I went from feeling invisible and alone to having a ready-made family. Not a traditional family, but a real one. Messy, complicated, beautiful real family. Rebecca and Dmitri's divorce finalized last month. She's dating someone new. Nice woman she met at yoga class. Kids spend half time with us, half time with her. It's not perfect, but it works. Our group still meets weekly in the secret room. Now they tease me about being family man, but they also see how happy I am, how complete. No regrets? Asks Dmitri, wrapping arm around me as we watch kids play. None, tell him honestly. This is exactly where I belong, and for the first time in my life I truly believe it.